At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com helping people worldwide getting work done faster and better. The same Monday.com designed for every team and every industry. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com that your team will actually love using. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free. Yes, the same Monday.com.
All right, so we're back talking Molly Miller and Colt Haynes, and we wanted to bring on someone who was with us when we went and started looking for them, and it was actually the first time we met Mac in person. We had a couple phone calls and Zoom calls, and I was just shocked that we were able to get her to come out and hang with us, and she had a very tight schedule, but we got her out there. So we're here with Sheryl McCollum. And then, so first off, I want to ask you when I don't know if I texted you or called you. I can't even remember when we found out.
You texted me to call you because you called and I didn't answer.
Oh, yeah.
Call us.
So, yeah, I texted her, said, you got to call me right away when I heard that they found remains. And then what was your impression? I can't even remember what your impression, because it's all been a blur right now.
You know, I was instantly so just blown away, thrilled for the family. There was going to be answers coming, hopefully. There was going to be justice coming behind that, hopefully. You know, but I just was, I think like everybody else, I was knocked out that it actually happened because it had been so long. Even though I think we all knew a general area, we were close. But, you know, just for Paula, you know, I think I was just thankful that some answers are going to come, because I think the not knowing, even you know, for Colt's child, I know there's just so much that people need to know and people need to understand, you know, especially for Colt's son. He did not in any way need to believe growing up that his dad ran off or abandoned him. That's not and hopefully they're going to be able to prove that.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like the second we heard the news, I just burst into tears because I just was like overwhelmed. I mean, we've been working on this for 8 years, and it's like you said, it's not knowing, you know, and Paula has been such a force of nature. She just didn't give up. And I was going to ask you, like, is that the advice you would give people who are in that position? Like, if a crime is not solved or if someone's missing, like, what's your advice for them?
You're seeing it in action. And I tell people all the time, the case is yours. Forget law enforcement. Forget the media. This is your case because it's your family. So you have got to be the ones that champion it, keep it in the media, make sure any tip that comes in may even come in through you, like Paula's done. Paula has gotten so many tips, as y'all know, and she's the one that gives them to law enforcement, and then she just has to pray they're acting on it. But I mean, she had just page after page, booklet after booklet of information that people would give to her. So it's real important that I think, you know, you're the ones that keep this fire ablaze. We're seeing it now with Nancy Guthrie.
Yeah.
Who is going to be better at keeping this thing in the media than Savannah Guthrie? Nobody.
Right.
But anybody can now be Savannah Guthrie. Anybody can have a YouTube page. Anybody can start a podcast. Anybody can be a media person. And for your case, that's what you need to be. But Paula, honey, she could run a clinic on it.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about her, and I'll say this. If it weren't for Paula, none of us would know anything about this case.
Absolutely not. And that's what I was going to say, because when I was doing research for the TV show, when we were first looking at this case in 2018, I found a news clip of Paula, but that was it. I found a news clip of Paula and then some news reports about Joe Russell and his nonsense. But Paula just was such an inspiration when I saw her. I was like, who is this woman? Like, she's not going to give up. And the reason why she didn't give up, she didn't want to be on TV. She didn't give a shit about any of that stuff. All Paula cared about was bringing Molly home and Colt, because to her, it was a fire in her belly that no one was going to put out.
Agreed.
So when she asked us to do the podcast, we were like, okay, well, here we go.
And then what we did is we went through the tips that she had accumulated at that point, which was like how many years? It was like, 13. So it was like we were at the, so almost 10 years before we, and then we didn't even get through like a quarter of them. And we did like 55 episodes of podcasts. And it's like, we still didn't get through all of them. She still had so many more that we actually, even when we stopped the podcast, we were going back and looking at more. And then we would find something, and then she would send it to the investigators. And then like you said, he wouldn't hope and pray that they would follow up on it. And we never really heard from them or anything like that. And then lo and behold, that's when we got the call a couple weeks ago. And it was just, we were all dumbfounded. We were on the phone with her. Basically, the first thing I go, Paula, she goes, they go, they found him. They think they found him. They found remains.
Right.
And they said they think it's Molly and Colt because it's just because of the area. It was like,
because the area,
mile.
Two of them together. I mean, we can all reasonably assume it's most likely going to be them. There's not another missing couple from that very tight area. But I want to go on to say something else too, because if it weren't for Paula, no question about it, nobody would know about this case. This case would have been done and over with years and years ago. Over a decade ago, people would have stopped talking about it. But also, y'all got to factor in Rob and Cindy, because if not for you, this thing wouldn't have been a national story. And then even when you did what you did with the TV show, y'all didn't stop. And let me just make sure people hear me. That to me is so important on just a human level. Y'all didn't come in there, make the TV thing, and then say, okay, see ya. Good luck, Paula. Y'all were like, what else can we do? And then that gave way for the podcast to say, look, we have all these people that are willing to talk to us and share. So let's put it out there. People are saying, why in the world wouldn't 911 send somebody out? Let's talk to the dispatcher. And then she's going to explain, hey, I did call back when she called 911 and hung up. I did call her back. But with dispatch, it's hitting off different towers. There's no way to know where she was when she called. I mean, it'd be a 50-mile radius. That happens today, even, all this time later. We still sometimes on a cell phone, they'll reach my department when they need East Point or College Park or Atlanta. So what y'all did even after the TV, I think was jam up and super critical.
Yeah, it was tough to walk away. Thank you. And I think, it was the impetus of that story and Paula's determination that got us into the podcast world. Because we had, Cindy did not want to do a podcast.
No, I didn't want to do a podcast.
She kept on saying, I'm a television producer. I'm a documentary.
And I'm like that. It was just like, we had just come off taking a podcast and turning it into a show. And so I was like, I don't know. I'm glad we did it. I wanted to help Paula, and she's the only reason why I did it, to be honest. It was because of Paula. I was like, all right, if this is what you need for us to help you, then I'll do it. And
that's another thing that's incredible. That's another one of those hand to God moments. You are a TV producer. So this is a different lane. It's an important media, but it's a different lane. It's not one you're used to. So the fact that you would shift again, I mean, what a gift for Paula. Seriously. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
You used what your wheelhouse is, what you're an expert in, and you did the TV thing, and you're like, well, that ain't enough. So now let's do something that I don't really want to do, but it might be the right thing to do. And that's what you did again.
Yeah. And if it wasn't for the TV show, we wouldn't have met you, because that's where we met Maureen.
Right.
And we dragged Maureen's, we actually met her in Oklahoma. We had a phone call with her and we said, you're coming to Oklahoma with us. We need your help. And then she helped us track down Joe Russell when we confronted him on the street. And she was the one who ID'd him because she was like, he was like heavy and stuff like that. And she looked at it and he had lost a ton of weight, I guess, from something. I don't know. And we drove right past him. She goes, that's him. And she pointed him out. And I was like, no, it's not. He goes, that guy's too skinny. She goes, that is him, Rob. Turn around. So it was interesting.
You couldn't have called anybody any better.
Yeah.
Oh, no, she's the best.
She is absolutely the best. She is the real deal. She's got the resume. She's got the experience. And she's willing to do it. I rarely met somebody that is so brave and so accomplished and still at this part of her career so willing to leave her home, leave, the beach, wherever she might be, to come do what needs to be done for a family. I mean, she is a remarkable person.
Well, that's the thing. Both of you did. And that's what we were so grateful for, because you both just hopped on a plane and you came to Oklahoma and you helped us on this draining this pond, because thank God for Toby. He's another angel in this whole scenario.
Absolutely.
And unbelievable human being. Right there.
I mean, people no one's here to say, I solved this case. Everyone's here to help Paula and her family and Misty and the rest of the family.
That's right.
Colt's
you got two young people that are out there that we believed were murdered, and they didn't deserve just to be left out there. They needed to be able to be brought home, let their families properly bury them, and then let us get what information we can from their remains to put somebody in prison.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I wanted to ask you about, because yes, from the evidence that we had and the private investigator that Paula had been working with, and all of the experts that we had brought on, and all of the, police reports and, things that were evidence that you guys had looked at. I mean, we all came to the conclusion that we believed that they had been taken, their lives had been taken from them, that it wasn't an accident and it wasn't just, exposure or whatever.
Right.
No, it was like the summertime.
So how does that work like now? So they find, what's the process after you find a body? Like, what happens next? Because that's what we're...
Sorry. So once they find the remains, they're going to look at clothing, and that will establish that what they already know, this is what they were wearing when they were last seen. They're going to look for injuries, whether they were shot, whether they were stabbed. They're going to look to see whether or not he did have a broken leg, because that's what he claims on one of the calls. He also says something about somebody's going to maybe shoot Molly in the head. They're going to look for that. So they'll say this must be her skull if there is evidence of that. They're also going to look to see how far apart are they. Was one killed first, or was, Colt sitting because his leg was broken? Did Molly try to run? Is she 50 yards from him? They're going to ascertain whether or not they were bound with anything. Were they tied up? Were they tortured possibly? There's been some tips that Paula has gotten through the years that there was a standard operating procedure where they would tie girls to trees. Was Molly tied to a tree? They're going to be able to tell all of that. And, how far were they from the crashed car? How far were they from the shirt that was found that, we started searching off of? They're going to know all of that.
Yeah. Well, they did find it. They said it was 0.6 of a mile from where the car was dumped.
Wow.
So that's not far.
It's not far. Because one thing that Maureen and I talked about when we were there, from the car, I mean, these folks were, 17, 18, 19, 20. How far could they run to elude the police? Now, for us, in the beginning, they were not running for their life. They were running to not get arrested. Well, I mean, I thought you got to go probably a mile because they're searching for you. They could hear the sirens. And if they were to incorporate a dog, I mean, you got to get ghost. So I thought they might have Molly was a jam up athlete. I mean, I would have thought she would have run at least a mile. But whenever, Colt decided he wanted to climb up in the tree and get a, better view, and then he fell, I think that stopped their plan of where they were going to eventually try to end up.
Yeah. The other thing to consider, though, because we did that too when you showed up, because when you showed up to Toby's, it was pitch black, and we went out into those woods when it was pitch black, and like in that whole area, you couldn't see anything. No. So it's like it would be very hard to find your bearings because you had no landmarks.
She knew those woods, though. I mean, that's the thing. Her family said that she had known those woods like the back of her hand. And the next morning, she was making phone calls. So I don't think she was in that spot the next morning if she's making phone calls saying, come pick me up on the road.
Right. But I want to speak to that a little bit because I think that was an important part for me to really let me know who I was with. So y'all, everybody was already there. They had already searched all day. I think they had already spent maybe one night. I think Maureen was already there for a night and a day and a half. So I got there late. They had already had dinner, everything. Well, the first thing that struck me was they saved me a plate for supper, which I thought was sweet. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing. And everybody was so friendly and they just wanted to talk and kind of tell me what they had done throughout the day. And then at some point, Maureen was like, man, I just can't wait for you to see how this place is laid out. And you won't believe it. There's a lake here and there's a pond here and there's, it's so vast. I mean, I could hardly find the ranch.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, everybody just kind of looks at each other like, why are we sitting here? Let's go. So, I mean, it was midnight and everybody puts their boots on and we head out. And it's one of my favorite pictures because, I love to document, what everybody's doing in the more human aspect of the search. And it's the front door with all of our boots. I just love that picture because it's like this many people have shown up for these children that they don't know. And it was just an awesome way to start the thing. And then first light, we're out there again. So
yeah, no, it was crazy. It was crazy. I mean, the level of like Maureen, when we talked to her about this on the podcast, she was saying it was equivalent to what we do with the FBI. I mean, we had this gigantic pump. We had like Toby has like former Navy SEALs working for him as ranch hands. They're operating the backhoe and the pump, and
Unreal.
and then he basically, you guys told him what to build as far as to sift and he built the thing, and it was just, we had the tarp, and then we're all like taking turns shoveling all that stuff into it and hosing it down and looking for it, and it just, and
for a belt buckle, zipper,
anything,
a coin, anything that we could attribute to them.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It was crazy.
An experience. It really was. And again, get to work shoulder to shoulder with the two of you and Maureen O'Connell. Come on now. And then Toby, I mean, here's this man, this is his land. And this beautiful, I mean, it almost looked like some type of quarry almost. It was almost this perfectly round rock wall and water just filled up in it. And Maureen and I both were like, man, if we chased them here and killed them, that's where we would have thrown them.
Exactly. That's when we first went out and we discovered for the TV show, we went and looked at that pond, Moxley Pond. It was like, cause you can't see it from the outside and it's covered with trees.
Yeah.
And then so you can't even see it because it just drops off. So you're walking, you don't even see the drop off until you're on top of it.
That's right.
So like if it was dark out and you're walking, you could easily fall in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the first thing I said to y'all the next morning. And you were like, oh yeah, we were right around here last night. And I said, y'all, I would have walked right into that thing.
Yeah. But we've all said the same thing. This is the perfect place to dump somebody if you didn't want them to find it. And also the thing is Toby didn't own that property. There's someone else owned it and they were never there. And pretty much the locals could run roughshod over it. They had access to all of it. And so people were fishing on that property. People were hunting on that property. And so, but the time Toby got it, he put up all new fences. He created like a farm for exotic animals and stuff like that. He had eagles there and stuff. So he really converted. So he really buttoned down on that stuff. So they couldn't get in anymore. So it was just like, so now he had control of the perimeters. Cause it was I don't know how many acres. It's like,
it's a big piece of land.
2,000-3,000 acres he has on that thing.
Yeah.
But
and backed up to one of the people we looked at as being the most likely person involved. So again, if you live here and you just come right onto somebody else's property to put a dead body, it ain't on your land. So they would have to figure that out to get a warrant to go to somebody else's place.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's perpendicular to Long Hollow Road, his property, the entrance of it. So it's just,
that's right.
It's crazy. And I think what was really interesting is when I was getting reports because they did a search a few months back, and we heard about it and I didn't follow up with anybody because I figured if they found something, we would hear. Mm-hmm. So they didn't find anything, and so they didn't give up, and they went back, and they were planning on to, and they actually, as far as we know, they were staging at Toby's property because it was the perfect place because it was close to where they wanted to search, and he was more than welcome to help. And then, but then when we started getting reports that there was like almost 100 guys out there searching, and they came from the Chickasaw Nation, they came from Lighthorse PD, there was guys there from Texas Search and Rescue.
I think there was more. It was almost 300.
Yeah,
what I saw.
Yeah, I don't know the exact. I saw one picture in the news, and they're like they're standing on this flatbed of the truck, and like they're looking over, and there's like tons of people standing around them in like fluorescent vests and search and rescue gear and stuff like that. To be able to kind of marshal that many manpower and force multiplier since 2013 and actually do it. I mean, what is that like? I mean, you've been in those things. You've done. What does it take to get that stuff going?
A lot of self-motivation, a lot of just, I'm going to be dedicated to these two kids. I'm not going to stop. Other people have fallen off. Other people have said, don't waste your time. Other people have been threatened. Cindy was threatened for crying. So I think there's a lot of things that are in play here. I think the community is one of them. And when you talk about a community that is so tied to everybody went to school with everybody. They dated each other. They went to, the prom and football games. They work with each other at the factory or the grocery store.
They're all distant cousins.
Mm-hmm.
So that fear is built in. That I don't want to bring this trouble to my front door.
Right.
When we were all there, the four of us, and we found out that Molly was part of the, Chickasaw Nation, we all said, that's who needs to take this case. That's a community that's going to be insulated. That's a community that can call their own shots and work this thing without any interference. They're not afraid of the sheriff.
Yeah. And ironically,
somebody that's going to put a laser on their forehead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you've got children, you've got other people that depend on you, and you don't maybe want to make that call to give the tip that because you know what's going to happen because they already did it. They already killed people.
And that was one of the things that when we were doing the podcast that when we started, we were surprised how many tips we were getting. People were calling us and emailing us, and then we would get them on the phone, and they were genuinely frightened for their lives,
terrified. And everyone dismisses a lot of the tips that we got. Oh, they're just druggies, whatever. Listen, they're still putting their life on the line by giving us this information.
And the information is still good. It's still solid. Who else would know better? I mean, you've got two kids that were dealing and using methamphetamine. Well, who do you want to talk to? Somebody at the First Baptist Church that's never even smoked weed? They're no help to you. I hate to tell you. If you want to know who's running things in and out of that county, whether or not the sheriff is involved running drugs, whether or not his nephew and cousin may be involved running drugs, you've got to talk to somebody that bought for them or sold for them. I mean, that's just what you have to do. I mean, sometimes, having a preacher on board is great, but they can only help you so much.
Yeah. No, I mean, because in police work and from what, we've discovered from doing so many law enforcement shows is that they hit the street. They're not, like you said, they're not talking to the citizens, the upstanding citizens. They're talking to the homeless guy in the corner. They're talking to the crack addict who's dealing there or buying stuff, who may interact or may have seen something. So it's great.
They have information that's good. They know who they buy their meth from. They know who's cooking it. They know that, hey, Joe's cooking his stuff in that RV and he moves it 20 miles every week. So you've got to find him every week. They know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so he doesn't get arrested.
Well, you brought up a really good point, because I think speaking about Joe Russell, I mean, prior to that, he had been the sheriff there for 16 years.
Right.
And then obviously the Molly Miller and Colt Haynes case kind of exposed him in a way, or did expose him to the point where he had to go through a grand jury, and they gave him the choice of, listen, you can go to trial. He goes, but if you go to trial, he goes, you can either step down and do house arrest, or you can go to trial. And he knew that he probably wasn't going to win a trial. He took that deal and took house arrest. But the fact that you had someone, and there were so many people who came out and talked to us on the podcast and also off the podcast that we didn't, we have tons of tips where they were deathly afraid of Joe. Stuff where they would, like, if he wanted to get you, he would pull you over. And if you had like any kind of ticket or anything, he'd throw you into jail, and then he would use that as leverage against you and stuff like that. So we heard a lot of those stories, and I was like, in this day and age, I mean, it's like, it sounds like a miniseries, it sounds like something like that. It sounds like a true crime miniseries. It doesn't sound like this stuff should be happening, but it was happening there. Mm-hmm. And we had documentation of it. And we had witnesses that went on.
Somebody called the chase.
Yeah.
He's the only one that could have done that.
Well, he did.
He did. Yeah. We have him on a 911 call where this is the thing, like all of the things that we put out there were documented. 911 calls, people that answered the 911 calls, people that potentially were witnesses and were there. I mean, there was one guy that Paula chased through the woods to get him to talk to her because she knew that he had information. Sure. And I mean, we're talking, she put herself in danger many, many times.
And then didn't he give her the gun?
He gave her
a gun.
He gave her a gun. Yeah, she turned it over to law enforcement, and nothing happened.
And I think here's the thing. Again, when you look at all these dots that y'all connected, can you imagine if everybody told what they knew?
I mean,
he was finally arrested. He finally stepped down. But look how much damage was done to so many people.
Right. That's the thing. It's like these people are in your community. Yeah. Don't you want to know what's going on in your community? I mean, how terrifying is this? People go missing. Noah Presgrove ends up dead on the side of the road in the next county over. I mean, it's the same thing going on over there.
Of course. But the sheriff has a ton of power anyway. But if you have a sheriff that's going to constantly listen to the scanner and the police radio when he's not at home, so that if he hears somebody that he's associated with, somebody he likes, somebody that he wants to have in good favor, he will call that deputy and say, don't give him a ticket, let him go.
Oh, yeah.
He was running things from no matter where he was.
Yeah. Well, they knew, I mean, he knew it was Con. They you can hear it on the radio. You knew it was Con. And then they still didn't go get him.
That's right.
They knew where he lived. They knew where he was going.
In fact, says it plain.
Yeah. And there wasn't a police report written by Joe Russell for 3 weeks. And it was written just because he had to. Yeah. He was forced to.
It was a one-pager.
Quit looking around. Quit digging around. Let it go.
Insane. So,
and he also told the news that they were runaways.
He did.
And she felt bad because she was like, this is my source.
That story stuck for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So they're going to, the remains are at the ME now, medical examiner's office. You've been down this road. I mean, talk us through it. What's the ME doing? What are they looking for? How long does this process take? And, where do they go from here?
I think there's a good chance they already know. Dental records are pretty fast. I mean, that doesn't take a whole lot of time, but they're going to do the dental records. Again, they're going to go over every bone they recover. They're going to take their time. They're going to notate every injury. If anybody has a plate or a screw from a former injury, if there's any broken bones from childhood, they're going to notate all of that. If there was anything that they were bound with, wire, handcuffs, duct tape, whatever it might be, they're going to notate that. The position they were in. Now, the reality is there will be some animal activity. There's been a lot of wind and water erosion over the last decade and some change. So the bones would not be intact like you would think a skeleton looks when it's hanging up in your classroom. They're going to be scattered about. And that will also be notated. Are there any scratch marks, where an animal, gnawed on it? That will be notated so that they can say this is maybe why the head is 30 yards from the ribs. An animal took that. That was animal activity. so that nobody thinks somebody was beheaded. Again, they're going to take the 911 calls. They're going to take the statements from people. Again, Colt said in one of the calls, they're going to shoot her in the head. Well, he said they, so there's more than one person. And then you work backwards and figure out when they were reported missing, what were they wearing, all that sort of stuff. Is any jewelry on them? They're going to be able to identify them several different ways. But again, I think they probably already know.
Yeah. Well, the one call we do know about where Colt was speaking and his friends, when they went to Khan's house and they were looking for him, and then they got him on the phone, and then he got on the phone with Khan. He says, tell him where I am, you motherfucker. He goes, you know where I am. Tell him where so you can come get me. So that, as far as like.
But we also have a 911 call that was the errant 911 call that was Colby Barrick and two other men, and they were talking about Molly and what they did, and that there was
what happened to her,
or what.
Well, go back to the other 911 call for a minute.
Yeah.
When, sorry, let's go back. Not a 911 call. I misspoke. When Rob, 321. Sorry, y'all. Rob, when you were talking about when they went to Khan's house,
yeah,
the friends had Colt on the phone, and he said, "You talk to him." And Colt was real clear. You better come pick me up. Because in Colt's mind, think about it. The police are still coming after him. He can't run. Nobody can find him. He's trying to tell them roughly where he is, but nobody's had any luck. When they get on that phone and he says, you better come pick me up, I wish I knew the rest of that phone call. Because when Maureen and I were first talking, one thing I said to her was, that's not the end of it. Like if you're having a fight with somebody and you say, shut up, and that person says, no, you shut up. That ain't the end. You ramp it up, right? So when that happened, I think there's a good possibility that Colt said, you either come and get me or I'm going to tell them about the drugs that are being run by your family. I honestly think that's a possibility.
Well, we know we believe that's what Molly was trying to do when she was in the car chase. When she dialed 911, she was trying to drop a dime on him because she was scared at that point. And she's like, get me out of here. And then it never happened. The call got cut off. We didn't hear.
And then they stopped the chase.
So
it was like, who was looking for him? I mean, a couple of cops.
How do you go from being in a car with somebody and you're working in concert? Whatever happened earlier, they were cool. They were together. They went and picked up Molly. They stopped to get beer. That sounds like a good social event. But they go from getting beer to going 120 miles an hour running from the police to then running from a vehicle. And then Khan won't go back and get them. He won't help them escape. Well, they're just baffled. Like, why in the world would he not come? But I think there had to be a threat from Colt. And that's when they're dead. And if they didn't die by accident or breaking a leg, I mean, they were murdered straight up.
Yeah. Because I don't think they would have died from exposure that quickly.
Right. But
and
Rob,
it's July.
Go ahead, Mac.
Rob, you and Cindy, with all of your investigation and all the people that y'all have talked to, what happened from getting beer to a car chase to I've got to murder them? There's a chunk we're missing.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it was that phone call when they went to the house because, the mom is there. All these other people are there. They start threatening the friends. You're trespassing. Get the hell out of here. Why are you worried about somebody trespassing when they're looking for your son's friends that he was just with? Because they know what went down. Because they know what was said.
Yeah.
Beyond, get out of here. You're trespassing.
I know. That's what's really kind of mind numbing is because we always say, you got, first of all, Khan was driving his girlfriend's car at the time, who she reported stolen. And then she was convicted of insurance fraud for saying that.
She was calling
him,
calling him the whole time. She knew he had the car.
Yeah. So the phone record.
But that was his standard move, wasn't it? Because even, Colt had the baby with a lady that Khan used to date.
Yep.
And he used her car and crashed that twice.
Yeah.
His MO, I'm going to get some girlfriend that doesn't know any better who I can use, and I'm going to be abusive to her. And one of the things I'll do is all my crimes in her car. Well, the one that night realized, oh, he's not bringing my car back because he crashed it running from the police. I better report it stolen so it doesn't come back on me, which is such a common maneuver, y'all. Every time somebody calls and reports their car stolen, we question it first. What was your car involved in 8 hours ago, 4 hours ago that you didn't call about? Like you just noticed your car has been stolen after it was involved in something,
Right.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Look at him, eating whatever he wants, never gaining a pound. While I'm stuck with the boring special and can't lose an ounce.
How's your lunch, man?
Amazing. Yours?
So good.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Cool, buddy.
Weight loss isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. The affordable GLP-1 source that can fix your frustration with food.
So, same time next week?
No!
Definitely.
And your friends. Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife? Feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But it's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI's not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. Their clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. They offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions that isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will find that their mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the healthcare they deserve. Because they believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized, insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
Marvel Television's Wonder Man, an 8-episode series, now streaming on Disney+.
A superhero remake, not exactly what we'd expect from an Oscar-winning director.
Action! Simon Williams, audition for Wonder Man.
I'm gonna need you to sign this, assuming you don't have superpowers.
I'll never work again if anyone found out.
My lips are sealed.
Marvel Television's Wonder Man. All 8 episodes now streaming, only on Disney+.
But let's go back to exposure for a second. Like Rob said, it was July, right?
Right.
It's hot out there, but we've been out there in July. It's not like being in the African desert.
Yeah, but didn't Molly say something, or one of them on one of the calls, that they were cold? I mean, it might have dipped down. They might have been
A
sweating.
little bit. Yeah, but still.
But again, that ain't going to kill them. They're not going to die of hypothermia.
No. I mean, because, how long you can live so much time without food. You can live so much time without water.
Yep.
They were still,
I mean, the next day she was making phone calls. I talked to her best friend, and she called her best friend in the morning, and her best friend was devastated that she didn't get the call. She's like, if I had just gotten the call.
That's right.
And it's so sad because it's like, so that's the next day. So clearly she was alive the next day. We know that that's a fact. Okay.
All night long.
She called multiple people. It wasn't just her best friend. Another person had gotten a message from her, and we've talked to these people. So we know those are facts. We've seen the phone records. Those are facts. So if she was alive the next day, what? She suddenly walked back into the woods and just died? She knows where she is in the daylight. She's from that area. She knows those woods.
Not a shot that happened. Not a shot.
Yeah. And it's not like
he was murdered. And wasn't Colt at one point also using her phone? So the battery must have died first.
I can't remember that, but yeah, but the phone records, the thing is, you just look at the phone records and they're going like crazy for Molly. They're going like crazy between, was it Sabrina was the girl? Mm-hmm. Khan's girlfriend at the time and him. Also from some people from the Nip family, their phones were blowing up. Why is everybody's phones blowing up if nothing's going on? If this is like, and then how did like 3 people go into the woods after a high-speed chase and then only one comes out? I mean, it's like, and to me, it's like and like, we don't know what happened. I mean, we don't know if he had anything to do with their demise, and we don't even know if these bodies are confirmed them. But what we do know is that he was the last person to see both of them.
Correct. And he won't cooperate.
Yeah. Well, they say he's cooperated. They say he's been questioned numerous times by different people, and last time he was questioned with his lawyer. But how those Q&As go. They're very structured. They're very, they're not. You're not going to get a whole lot of free flowing information. It's just like you can answer the basic questions.
That's right. That's right.
So,
I mean, we see the same exact thing in Noah Presco's case.
There's a lot of cases in Oklahoma that kind of leave you going, huh? Sean Beatty's one. Shanda Turner's one. I mean, she is shot out in front of her home in the stomach from 3 feet away, and they ruled it a suicide. I mean, Oklahoma's got some work to do, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like I love the term that you used when I first met you out there. You just said, this looks like home cooking to me.
Oh,
no
doubt that's what this is.
Yeah.
Even without knowing what eventually happened to the sheriff, this is the only thing that you can see if you look at this. It is straight up home cooking all night long. And my favorite thing about the whole deal is when you're standing there, when we were doing all the sifting and y'all, just so you know, there was also a big bank of bamboo.
Yes.
And tiny bamboo looks just like the 3 bones in your finger. And so we kept thinking we were finding finger bones and it was bamboo.
Yeah. And then you weren't there when we found what we thought was possibly a tongue.
Right.
We pulled this spongy piece of thing out, looked just like a tongue. We actually called the medical examiner's office. They came and picked it up. They said, well, just drop it in the mail. That's what they told us to do. And I'm like, no. You got to come pick it up in person. We're not dropping it in the mail. Yeah, so that was kind of crazy when they told us that they were going to just told us to drop it in the mail. It's like
body part that could be attached to something significant. But
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we actually videotaped him when he got here. We videotaped the handoff because, and it was like normally you would, who would normally do that? But like after Paula, finding stuff and giving stuff to first Love County and then OSBI and then not getting any follow-up information on it and then stuff disappears. I mean, someone gave a machete and a gun. And that person was, I think, living with one of the Nips. And he said, I just want this out of my house. And, nothing really, as far as we know, nothing is tested out. I think the gun wasn't the gun, but still, I mean, why would people drop that stuff off? And I think it was Khan that dropped it off. I can't remember.
It was his mother's boyfriend.
I know, but like, who dropped it off at the house?
At their house. That's what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know.
But
that's what he said. So
there's so many things that happened in this case that's just kind of like over a period of time. And there's still missing evidence that's at a former deputy's house. And this gentleman who's still, he's actually not doing well and he's elderly, he's in his 80s. But so many times Paula wanted to go pick it up and he said, no, you can't come pick it up. And he's still holding stuff on. I believe that was the man who had the T-shirt that they found.
The T-shirt, right.
Like, the way the chain, and like, you've told us about chain of evidence all the time. I mean, everything's got to be documented.
Everything's got to be documented. And by him holding it in a private home, I mean, how many times has he opened that bag? How many times has he let somebody look at it or touch it or put it in a new bag? Like, you have no chain of custody.
I think it was just sitting in the back of his truck.
But this is what goes on over there.
For years, didn't it? Or months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, insane to me. And I don't know how somebody says, yes, I have evidence pertaining to this case inside my house. I'm not giving it to you. That's a knock at the door with a warrant. Sorry, we're here for our stuff. It's not yours.
Yeah, well, they didn't give out many warrants in this case. I don't think they had any one. I know they were trying to get one done to have a search, and that got denied because they said it was going to disturb the land. I mean, you saw that land out there. That land is rugged. It's not like pristine. It's like, how can you disturb the land? You know? And then when the BIA took over, they got turned down for warrants. And I think what finally happened is, and this is why I think where Toby came into play, is that they kind of marshaled all the landowners, and they basically just said, listen, this is what we want to do. We need your help. I mean, I made a plea to them.
Well, hopefully that's what happened, and they were helpful. I mean, but thank God for the BIA and those investigators.
Absolutely.
Because this would have never happened. I mean, we would have never even found these remains. I mean, that just would have never happened.
But that's a good move, because we had a cold case from 1946, and I believe there was going to be evidence on this property that was now owned by somebody else that had nothing to do with what happened in 1946. But as long as they give permission, you don't need a warrant.
Yeah.
Say, yes, come, you can dig, you can do like Toby did. He said, for Maureen and I, what do you want me to do? And that's
But what was interesting, like you left one day early, but then that night you left because we had brought in the first dig we did, and we got it out, and we brought the cadaver dogs in, and they were hitting like crazy. They were hitting all over that hole. We don't know what's in that hole. Something's in that hole.
Something's in that hole.
Something's in that hole. And then we go, well, we got to do it again tomorrow, but we can't, let's not use the same dog. So we were calling around, and then Paula found this woman up near Tulsa, up in northern Oklahoma. And she goes, well, I have a dog, but I can't make it tomorrow. He goes, but I got this guy, and he works with the BIA sometimes. He was a federally accredited dog. And so I spoke to him on the phone. He actually drove down there that night. When he got there, and then by the time he got down there, he had told us, listen, he goes, I think this case is going to go federal. And we didn't know what that meant. We're like, FBI, like that. He goes, I just can't tell you. I can't tell you. But he was just leading us. And then we spent the whole day digging again, found what we thought was a tongue, but turned out to be fungus or something, but it was shaped exactly like a tongue. I wish I look at the picture now, and then we called the medical examiners. They came, picked it up. And then Toby got a call, and he says, you can't dig there anymore on your own property. He says, shut it down. He goes, because we're going to come down and we're going to take a look at it. So that dig, for whatever reason, was the beginning of the BIA taking over this case.
Yep.
So, which was amazing. And I knew about the BIA, but I didn't know that they would go to this level. And this one investigator, I got to give him credit. He was, I believe, and hopefully I'll have a conversation with him after all this is said and done, when he can actually tell me whatever he can tell me, that, he checked out every lead that both Paul and us were giving him, because it would be months before something would happen. And then we'd hear, oh, so-and-so is in jail, and maybe they should go talk to him, or so-and-so like that. And we don't know if he did it or not, but something tells me he did.
Something tells me he did. And listen, when you've got somebody, not just fresh eyes, but they've got a different way of working, they've got a different set of rules, they've got a different set of power, literally that sometimes is all you need. And when you see that all of these people work together, not just, Light Horse, not just Chickasaw, not just Toby, not just the FBI and whoever else is involved, all of them working together on the same page. That is how they recovered these remains. No doubt in my mind.
Oh, absolutely. It was definitely a group effort, and I don't think they could have done it. No, not one single person could have done it alone. They needed everybody. And to really kind of pull all those levers to make that happen, because, they were planning on being there. They started on a Tuesday, and they were going to be there until Friday. And then it only took them a day and a half, and they found something, and it's miraculous, because as you know, Mac, you know this stuff. This doesn't happen a lot.
Nope. Because you think that land is so vast. If y'all remember, I went to the wrong ranch. I couldn't even find y'all. Maureen had to get in the car and start flashing lights and blowing the horn for me to find where y'all were. It's huge. I mean, it's 200 miles before you see a home this way, 400 miles before you see another house this way. I mean, it's wide open, but then there's these pockets of woods that are so thick. I mean, you can hardly see in front of you. And you think over 10 years of foliage falling to the ground and animal activity and flooding, it's a wonder they found any remains.
I know.
They were just on top of the ground.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's what we don't know yet either, whether or not they were buried or they were on top of the ground. So hopefully we'll be able to hear about that as well.
I will go ahead and put my $50 on. They were not buried.
Okay.
The folks that I think we're dealing with, number one, they're lazy. They're lazy. They cut corners with everything. And I don't think they would have taken the time. I think there might have been, hey, let's throw some stuff on them, but nobody's coming out here, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're not the only one who said that. You know, we had Jody Barth on here, who was an investigator for years, and she goes, yeah, criminals are lazy. They're not gonna drag bodies for a long period of time. Because initially we were getting all these like crazy reports about their bodies being put in these barrels with acid and fed to hogs. We were getting all these, and it was just, I think it was just the collective consciousness of the area and say, this is what happened. And they're filling in the gaps, and we're hearing all this stuff, and it's the rumor mill and, all that kind of stuff. But, as it turns out, they weren't as ambitious as that. Whoever did it.
Every time you hear on the news, they always say the victim was found in a shallow grave. And the reason it's shallow, most people, even like today was like a spring day in Atlanta. You want to run and go get some plants and put some things in your yard. About that third or fourth hole, you're like over the plants, right? To bury a body, you might start strong, but you ain't going to dig a hole. Body, much less two. Just people are just not that willing to cover it up like that. And I think this happened quick.
Yeah.
When those friends went to Khan's house, that's how a conversation was at that house. You better shut them up, and there ain't but one way to do it. If you have now connected with Colt, who didn't like you, y'all didn't like each other. Because when Colt got with Khan's ex, he found out Khan beat her, he mistreated her. So they weren't buddies. So if you let him in to tell him how y'all are running this meth all over town, and that maybe the sheriff's involved too, you have to shut him up. You have to.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I still can't believe that they found something.
I can't either.
Because I was talking to Paul the other day on the phone, and I asked her, I said point blank, she goes, did you ever think they'd find them or anything? And granted, we don't know if it's them, but I think the fact that they're talking to the families is, I think I asked you this question on the phone. I says, they wouldn't have gone to the families if they had a sneaky suspicion that they'll be able to ID these bodies.
Yeah. Listen, they knew. There's all kind of ways. Again, a lot of the clothing will also disintegrate, but everything's not. So again, if she was wearing a high school ring, if she had a certain bracelet, if she had certain earrings, if she had certain tennis shoes on, a zipper that's going to tell them something. The same with, Colt. You're going to look for things. He always had this one chain. The last time I saw him, this is what he was wearing. And that's what you're looking at. A belt buckle. If he had a belt buckle from a rodeo or anything that he wore every day, a Coors beer belt buckle, they're going to know it there. They know it. That's not an official ID. They're never going to say it. But I'm telling you, again, how many people in that area, male and female, have gone missing and not recovered?
Yeah.
None. I mean, the math is pretty good that it's them. And again, with dental records, that doesn't take half a day.
Yeah, and they have Molly's dental records.
Of course.
So
that's what I say. They already know. They're getting everything else together because, listen, once those remains are recovered, the investigation ramps up, honey. And what they're doing now is anything they found on them, anything they have found on them, forensically is now going toward trying to put somebody in prison. And that's what they're doing. And now that they've been recovered, all these people that have kept their mouth shut, maybe they will now come forward, because let me tell you, let me make this very clear. Whoever talks first gets the deal, and there won't be but one deal.
Yeah. As far as the bodies, will the Emmy be able to tell the how long they've been sitting there from being dead? Like,
Roughly
like
depending on what they're under. If they're under a lot of foliage, the bones are going to be the color of that foliage. So think of when you're cleaning out like a drain, all the leaves just start to look black, like just mush, right? Bones are going to take on that same color. So they're not going to be bleached by the sun because they're not right up on the surface, possibly. That's just an example. But, they'll be able to tell some things for sure. For sure. But I think we all know how long they've been out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Hopefully.
Yeah, he never moved that night. He stayed right there. He couldn't go anywhere, and Molly couldn't tote him. So.
Yeah. I mean, she was tiny and he was big.
And she stayed with him.
Mm-hmm.
And tried to get him help, like Cindy said, all night long, and 6 o'clock the next morning until her phone went dead.
Yeah.
Like 9:30 in the morning. Her phone went dead. So
this is incredible.
I am excited that we're getting somewhere. I'm excited that the number one suspect and the only suspect is now square in their crosshairs. I can tell you that.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind. Listen, after y'all called me, I called Paula, and then I called Toby, and then I called Maureen. And, just hearing them and, grateful for the answers, grateful for them possibly being recovered. But again, in my heart, I think it's them. Who else would it be? Prayerfully, it's going to be them. And prayerfully, there's going to be forensic evidence that is going to be able to pinpoint somebody. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so are we.
Yeah. Well,
y'all were a direct, factor in this result. There's no question about that.
Well, we were glad to help. Honestly, we were helping the family and Paula, and we thought, what can we do? And it was just from a storyteller standpoint, because that's what we are. It's a fascinating story.
It is.
It's a fascinating, you can't write these things
But
up.
it's also a feel-good story. Like one thing we haven't mentioned, the two of you, Maureen, Toby, everybody, when y'all got me out there, and again, I had a quick turnaround. The reason I had a quick turnaround, y'all, it was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Everybody got up from their home and left their families during Thanksgiving to go there to help with these children. And I told my family before I left, what better Thanksgiving could I have? Honestly.
Yeah.
If that ain't Thanksgiving, I don't know what is.
I know.
I'm so grateful to be with the two of you and be able to work with Maureen and meet Toby. It was a hell of a thing. And then, to sit there and listen to Paula talk about her niece, it was lovely in a lot of ways. And I know that sounds crazy, but I promise you, it was a very moving experience for me.
Yeah, it was. It was very physical, but moving. It was like at some point I would sit there and I'd stop back and I'd, because I was shooting some footage and stuff like that. And I'm watching it all. I'm like going, this is a scene. This is like a gigantic scene. And there wasn't one time where I was like shooting where one person wasn't doing something. It was the guy with the backhoe, the guys with the pumps, where they're raking through the scrim that Toby made and hosing it down. I mean, it was like, and then we had Paula's son came down with his wife Heath, and he was there, and it was just.
And that's something I have said to the two of you before, because I've now worked more than one case with y'all.
Yep.
People that y'all put together, and this is a big thing for me, because it was cold out there. It was wet. It was not the easiest terrain to traverse. Nobody complained. Toby would look at somebody and say, hey, I need you to get the backhoe and move 12 feet of dirt. I need you to go build the sifter. I need you to go get the hose. They just did it. Nobody complained. Nobody said, are we going to have lunch? Or can we please, get some coffee out here? Like, nobody asked for anything, complained. They were just happy to get in here and do the work. And again, for y'all to put together those kind of folks, for Toby to put together those kind of folks, it was, I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous because we're talking about such a horrible double murder, but it was uplifting to watch all these people, the way they came together and worked.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we couldn't have done it without your help, Matt, and Maureen's help. And the thing is, for us, for me, Paula, it's just like with Jennifer Cassidy. We met her family. When you meet their families and you listen to these people and you listen to their stories and you hear how they have nowhere else to turn.
Right.
And it breaks your heart. And you're like, well, what can we do to help? I mean, if we have this ability to put together stuff for media purposes, then what other way to do it than to try to help these people?
Amen.
I mean, the only reason why we did this.
Yeah.
And it's like, thank God for people like the BIA investigator. Thank God for people like you and Maureen and Toby and all the other people who came forward and talked to us and were trying to help, as scared as they were, you know, and people can say what they want. I don't care what all these people on trolls and social media, they're going to go on and on about this, spinning whatever tale they want to spin. We've always supported law enforcement, always. And we always will. And this isn't about not supporting law enforcement. No. This is about trying to find two kids that vanished 13 years ago.
Yeah. And then and I had a lawyer tell me early on, they said, you know, law enforcement can only do so much because they're handcuffed by the law. He goes, but private citizens can do whatever they want.
That's right.
So that's a lesson for any victim's family. And we've met so many wonderful people and courageous people who have, you know, the law enforcement has taken it to a certain degree and then their hands are tied. They can't do anything else. And then the family takes it up and they never give up. And I think this is a perfect example of never give up.
Well, I'll be real clear. We do support law enforcement, but we don't support bad, crooked, criminal law enforcement. And that's what we were dealing with in this case.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard it's a hard pill to swallow, especially because you in times of crisis like this, you know, families, that's what they do. They lean into law enforcement. And I know that they're not supermen, but at the same point, they gotta, the victims' families should be priority one.
Yeah, it should be the victim's family. Okay. If your child is found dead on the side of the road and nobody knows what happened to them, you should be able to rely on law enforcement to help you figure it out, not social media and not other people spinning tales because they don't want to tell the truth. So,
yeah. And not everybody's Savannah Guthrie and has the horsepower behind her to get like such a force multiplier to come find her mother. I mean, there's so many people like Savannah Guthrie and their family. God bless them, and I hope to God they get answers.
But
there's so many other people like them that aren't famous, that don't have the resources or the pull to get that kind of, you know, leverage.
I think that case is important though, because it is showing that there is a necessity for an agency or somebody to be able to handle all these cases.
Yeah. Can I throw one more positive note on it? Whenever you have a case like a Nancy Guthrie, I try not to look at it as, well, man, she's getting something that everybody else isn't getting. I try to look at it as, hey, because of her, all these other people are getting information about tools they didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
I didn't know that sniffer thing existed. I've never heard of that thing in my life. I know it now.
Yeah.
Most people had no real understanding of Othram. They do now. Most people had no idea. Why do you not want it to go to Quantico? Why do you want a sample to go to a private lab? They know now. And I think if we look at that, that is super important. And it's critical that people are getting information about a heart monitor and these apps and what can be done with a drone that they did not know prior.
Yeah.
So thank God for Nancy Guthrie, because she is, you know, educating all these families that can now call their detective and say, hey, let's try that app.
Yeah.
Drone. And I think that's fantastic.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
In the same way that people took the message that Paula was preaching and not giving up, and like how she was doing it. Like she was talking to people and she was investigating and doing as much as she could, and she never gave up and she never followed up. And she would like, I don't know how many phone calls we've had with her over these 8 years.
A million.
You know, and it's just like she would say, "Hey, what about this?" And I'm like, "All right, let's bring this person on. They can kind of tell us if that means anything." Like, you know, Lisa Rubikoff, we had her on the phone on the podcast numerous times when we say, "Does this person sound like, you know, being deceptive?" And she would break it down, and we're like, "Okay, all right, well then let's move on." It was just that way of thinking and just saying, like you always say it. He goes, "You're never failing if you're ruling something out."
That's right. Because like even when we didn't recover anything, Maureen and I were like, okay, we know where they're not. Let's go out. We know where they're not. Let's go out. Like we're going to find them eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Well, listen, thank you so much for taking time with us.
Thank y'all.
Busy lady, go get Sheryl's new book.
Exactly. Yeah. Tell us about your book.
Tell me about this book because I'm.
Woo. Well, I mean, Cindy, you've already been so
I know. It's
loving
so
everything.
good.
But it's called Swans Don't Swim in a Sewer. And it basically means sometimes you have to go into the gutter, into the sewer, dark places, work with evil people to solve a case. And on this particular case, the father of the victim was a serial killer. And I worked with a serial killer to solve his daughter's murder.
Amazing.
It's phenomenal. Everyone has to read it. I did not put it down. It is one of the best books I've read in a long time.
Now, y'all won't be out till May, but Cindy got an advance copy.
I know. And I
pre-ordered it to read it.
I pre-ordered my new one.
You can pre-order and it'll be here in May.
That's right.
Fantastic. Just in time for CrimeCon.
It is phenomenal. You guys are going to love it. All right, Mac. Always good to see your face.
All righty.
And I think good news is coming.
I hope so.
I hope so. From your lips to God's ears.
I'm telling you, answers and justice. It's coming.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Bye.